two minds really about how to treat this event when I came, because as a journalist, as a TV journalist in particular, and a business journalist first and foremost, the tumult of the last couple of years has been fascinating stuff for us. Capitalists have been as creative as you can possibly imagine, and they've come up with a wonderful array of new products, all of which have gone kaboom and generated the $1 trillion bailout which Europe has announced today, for example, on top of similar amount in the US and $600 billion in China, and so on and so on and so on. So it's been a fascinating time. Creative capitalists have been. Sustainable, well, not so much. So that's partly what this has all been about, how to create a sustainable form of capitalism which actually does what capitalism was always supposed to do, generate economic growth for everybody. And there's been a fantastic array of ideas coming through.
There are three things that I've noticed coming up from the corporate panel, and also from the afternoon panel, and certainly from the lunchtime panel as well. Professor Judy Choi this morning mentioned about the 6 I's from the corporate panel, the very robust sharing of how to take this agenda forward. I would actually sum it up with the 3 I's, having heard in the afternoon panel as well. The 3 I's being inclusive, interactive, and innovative. It calls for a more inclusive business model. It calls for a more inclusive way of thinking and linkage. The interconnectivity seems to be, missing in some parts. Okay? Interactive, again, hopefully through forums like this and so on, there will be more interactive, integrated platforms to discuss these issues. And innovative, at the heart of what PolyU stands for, innovation and application. And I think innovation is very much at the heart of this, a new way of looking at things, a fresh approach that is probably needed to drive a sustainable, development. There is no better place to start than where you are close to. And China being so much of a growth engine driving Asia forward, as we have all noticed. So I think starting with Greater China, this set of objective, independent market data to be shared with all the 4 key groups that we mentioned to be looped in, government, NGOs, academia, and enterprises, would be actually very useful benchmarking norm for everybody to be able to, some guidelines, some parameters for the decision-making as they rise to constantly new challenges, as we've noticed.
I'm not sure I can say that I've seen there's a sudden change in attitude because of the financial crisis. It has certainly heightened the attention to the consequences of unethical behavior. One thing that we try to instill in our students is the need to be socially responsible. So one of the things that we do, in fact, is to give them experiences in working with the needy, the poor. For example, each year we have voluntary efforts. Students actually volunteer to go to a place to help the local people, whether it is to build a bridge or to do something to help them get access to computers. That's one thing we offer to our students, is to help them develop that sense of responsibility.
I believe, and I do hear it among some of the panelists, that integrated platforms for discussion to try and connect the different groups that will be, working together to drive this forward is very much needed. There seems to be certain gaps in terms of their understanding of what each other is doing that might have caused some of the lack of efficiencies or whatever. So I think definitely integrated platforms to discuss will be very much needed. Apart from the index aside, I think is sharing, and sort of sharing in the sense of what are the challenges, what are the opportunities from the corporate, government, and other points of view, so that the key stakeholders actually understand, have a clearer understanding of where each other is coming from and how they can better work together. Mm-hmm. So I think that is very much, needed from what we have heard from, various people.
Where there are women, there seems to be hope. You go through Africa. I'm serious. What did Marjorie have to say? I want your comments on this. South America, Africa, Arabian continent, Wherever you go, you see desperation, you see the important role of women. The topic is creative capitalism. Well, who's been running capitalism for the last 200 years? A bunch of men. And it's been a male perspective in decision-making. What particularly impresses me about women is they don't come from power, they don't come from wealth. They come from community and well-being. And if we're talking about the future, it's really about well-being. So my question I pose, particular to Helena, is what is the role of women in this future paradigm? Because men have clearly shown that they know how to blow it up.
I don't believe it's just a women versus men thing in driving the creative capitalism or sustainable enterprise development. It's whether you are a woman or a man, the impact of how do we rise to the new challenge? How do we actually write a more sustainable chapter, not just for ourselves, but for our future generation, is a topic that is pertinent for men as much as it is for women. So I won't make that distinction by saying that, it's a man's world, so, what about the women? Women are not going to drive it or something. I think it's a human issue. And the future is as important to the man, if not more, as it is for the women. And the role of the women, so I don't see a dichotomy in that the man is going to derail or do something, or their phobia or whatever is going to try and stop this. I think it's a lobbying, it's a persuasion, it's an influencing exercise, which hopefully forum like this and our post-forum research program is going to be a step in the right direction. It's a matter of having integrity into your value system. As Jeremy Hobbins of Lee and Fung keep saying this morning, they have it embedded, pardon me, in their value system. And I think it's getting the sense of value, being instilled in people, software versus hardware. So that's going to make the hardware and the process a lot easier. Absolutely.
The importance of integrity, ethics, were very much mentioned in this morning's sessions. And what Helene just mentioned, value and impact, those presumably is positive impact that we are seeking. It is a value that benefits the society that we are seeking.